Welcome CSGO expert bots, welcome players.
Hello, my Shiranui, see COVID-19 and virus soon GTA San Andreas, see President Bong 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 Marcos soccer now, my Shiranui.
Thank you Valkyrie Spincy Champion ending 2025 C7U Chinese and ending January season C Saddam Hussein C MVP Champion Orange Dragon Legend C Magic S1 Clash of Clans now Valkyrie Spin.
Okay, my Shiranui C Champion C Saddam Hussein C MVP Iraq number 1 Champion Trophy C Town Hall 18 C Longshot and Smasher C Magic S1 Clash of Clans now my Shiranui.
Terrorists win.
What happened expert bot grand weapons?
What C-Bot weapons see expert CSGO and players attack?
Next up on WCTR, the news, we try to make it interesting and not depressing.
This is Leanne Forget WCTR News. Foreigners are coming. Who are they and why should we care? The FDA warns shampoo is killing your unborn child. Plus protests continue outside the Zebra Bar Candy Company now for traffic and transit with Richard Burns.
That's right, Leanne. I'm Richard Burns. The aftermath of the devastating earthquake continues. Travel is still severely restricted. Casualties, which is truly unfortunate, as it makes for incredibly boring news. The federal government is still refusing aid to help rebuild bridges, and everyone is blaming each other. The governor is threatening to bomb Australia despite scientific proof it wasn't their fault. Richard Burns, WCTR.
Police say gang trouble is on the rise again, especially in Los Santos. Forces believe it is linked to the rising drugs trade, while others blame the fascist pig. Also in gang news, customs officials report a huge influx of Russian mobsters and cheap weapons since the fall of the wall. The governor office said everything is okay. In Vinewood news, rapper Mad Dog was celebrating the launch of his new clothing line. Richard caught up with him.
Thing about Mad Dog is I'm thinking about becoming a superstar. I mean, you know.
I see him. Let's kill them.
What expert bot happened? Enemy attack players. See death bots. Thank you Valkyrie Spincy Champion January season. Next February season see Indostar and Dead Inside China see Xi Jinping see Town Hall 18 see Longshot and Smasher see Magic S1 Clash of Clans now Valkyrie Spin.
Check in. Okay.
What bots see enemy attack players and counter terrorist and terrorist?
Activating the bomb. I want them. Bomb has been planted.
What see expert bots and bomb has been planted 45 seconds.
10 seconds. Bomb has been planted and bomb now.
5 seconds. Bomb has been planted.
We are going to win.
5 seconds. Bomb has been planted and bomb now.
Terrorists win.
Starts players terrorist attack and bot enemy.
It is time now, my brothers.
In the rap game, I won shit hands down. Nobody can handle me, you know. Lifetime champ, no shit. Can I say shit?
Oh hey man, it's cool.
That's cool. Okay, no shit. I got clothes. I got labels coming out. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing drinks. I got shoes. Tires, rims, thinking you know next day just being a full-on superstar. No, you get to wear a tight suit and nail a lot of tail, you dig. You know what I do in real life. Gotta get me a drink though right now cause I'm thirsty, you know.
What a troubled man, sounds like he should lay off the sauce. Also today a Tourette's theater group banned from the park unless they take up mine. And finally in foreign news, a suspected US agent was caught in Panama selling weaponry to right-wing guerrillas, causing a major incident, but we plan mostly to gloss over the implications and hope you enjoy some sporting activity tonight. The State Department is advising against foreign travel. This was Leanne for Forget.
Players and bomb has been planted. Attack bot CT.
I'm planting the bomb.
Players and bomb has been planted. Attack bot CT. Players and bomb has been planted. Attack bots.
Bomb has been planted.
WCTR News. Let's be careful out there.
Turn over in case you learn something. The news is next.
Leanne Forget WCTR News. Unfair and skewed for you in the top stories. Everyone is trying to kill you. But at least you're not in prison yet. Disgraced movie star Jack Howitzer broke his silence recently following his on-air murder of radio host Billy Dexter, facing trial and a possible death.
One idiot left.
Players attack, see enemy bots attack.
Let's go, my brother.
Sentence. Howitzer spoke to Richard. WCTR would like to be clear.
I'm planted.
We did pay for this interview.
That's right, Leanne. I am Richard Burns here in Los Santos Prison. As we all know, since politicians stopped musicians from coming here about shooting your woman on drugs, everyone is now questioning their
I
sexuality.
can see them.
Jack Howitzer, you're facing a death sentence. How do you feel about that?
I broke out of a POW camp in Korea, all right? So I'll be out of here soon.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That was a movie, and it wasn't real.
Oh no, it was real. I'm a veteran of
Grenade!
over 40 films. But I've got a different Ho Chi now. Say hello to the newsman, Ho Chi.
Hello, Jack Howitzer.
You want
What is it?
me to kill you like the...
I see them. Stand up here. Let's kill them. Checking their entry point.
Last Ho Chi, say it like an Asian girl.
He-wo hi.
Well, Jack Howitzer, that is a fine prison bitch. Where can I get one of those? Haha. Richard Burns, WCTR News.
The trial of allegedly disgraced police officers Frank Tenpenny and Eddie Pulaski began yesterday, although Mr. Pulaski was not at court personally. Prosecutors maintain both are guilty of murder, racketeering, drug running, and sexual offenses. Defense maintain officers are just doing their job. Government officials are denying any knowledge of black helicopters that were recently seen flying over the state.
Black helicopters. How? What black helicopters?
That clears it up. A Las Venturas institution, Caligula is forced to admit that it was recently robbed. It's the first major heist carried out on a Venturas casino. In 30 years, government officials are not ruling out foul play. Meanwhile, no explanation has been forthcoming as to why the Sherman stopped generating electricity for a few hours recently. One bystander blamed aliens who drink
Counter-terrorists win.
electricity before deflowering virgins. I'm Leanne Forget. WCTR News. It's going to get worse, trust me.
Next, see Crazy Dave Team US Gang, former Team Big Gang. See Crazy Dave News next.
This is Leanne Forget, WCTR News, and Cami and Jury died. See Crazy Team Big Gang. See Crazy Dave all today.
That's right, Leanne. I'm Richard Burns. See Cammy died. See Crazy Dave. Kun Lee died. See Team Big Gang Crazy Dave.
Yes, Richard Burns. See Ariana Grande dies. See Crazy Dave.
Yes, Kun Lee Team US Gang. See Crazy Dave.
Yes, Richard Burns. See Cami Team US Gang. Crazy Dave Team US Gang.
Yes, Leanne Forget fight, see Cammy. I'm hate you, Ariana Grande, Leanne, see Jury Street Fighter 6, Leanne.
Oh, Leanne died. See Crazy Dave. See Team Big Gang. Leanne. Thank you, Cami. See Crazy Dave. Team Big Gang and Leanne Forget, WCTR News, and Cami. See Ariana Grande. Lim hate Crazy D. John F. Kennedy. Last games.
Tekken 8 see Akuma and Terry Bogard King of Fighter and Street Fighter 6 see Cammy see 1994 Street Fighter 2 News. This next.
Leanne Forget, WCTR News. See Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 Akuma now characters. WTCRC Akuma Tekken. See Akuma. Richard Burns call this Akuma News.
That's right, Leanne. I'm Richard Burns. See Akuma Tekken and Terry Bogard King of Fighter and Street Fighter 6 now characters. Ariana Grande. See Cammy Street Fighter 6 characters all today. Cammy.
Yes, Richard Burns. See Akuma no Tekken 8 this characters. is Akuma now characters now Richard Burns.
Okay, Richard Burns, the Tekken 8C Akuma. Hey, Richard Burns.
No Richard Burns characters, Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 now this Ryu and Jury, and now Tekken 8 now Richard Burns. Thank you Cammy and Akuma, and Terry Bogard thank you Richard Burns WCTR News.
See Ariana Grande Tekken 8 this the characters Jun Kazama and Akuma Kazama now Tekken 8 Ariana Grande now Tekken 8. Leanne forgets the Akuma now Street Fighter 6 now this the characters and Aki and Lily and Manon and Marissa now Leanne forget.
Leanne Forget see characters Tekken 8 see friends see Ariana Grande now Leanne Forget.
Thank you Ariana Grande, I'm Leanne Forget WCTR News this Tekken 8
What is happening? This area is clear. No one is here. This area is clear. Prepare enter point. Planted. Bomb has been planted.
Next up on WCTR, the news, we try to make it interesting and not depressing.
This is Leanne Forget WCTR News. Foreigners are coming. Who are they and why should we care? The FDA warns shampoo is killing your unborn child. Plus protests continue outside the Zebra Bar Candy Company now for traffic and transit with Richard Burns.
That's right Leanne, I'm Richard Burns. The aftermath of the devastating earthquake continues. Travel is still severely restricted. Casualties, which is truly unfortunate as it makes for incredibly boring news. The federal government is still refusing aid to help rebuild bridges, and everyone is blaming each other. The governor is threatening to bomb Australia despite scientific proof it wasn't their fault. Richard Burns WCTR.
Police say gang
Terrorists win. Why were they started? Now is the time.
trouble is on the rise again, especially in Los Santos. Forces believe it is linked to the rising drugs trade, while others blame the fascist pig. Also in gang news, customs officials report a huge influx of Russian mobsters and cheap weapons since the fall of the wall. The governor office said everything is okay. In Vinewood News, rapper Mad Dog was celebrating the launch of his new clothing line. Richard caught up with him.
Thing about Mad Dog is I'm thinking about becoming a superstar. I mean, you know, I've done everything I can do in the rap game. I won shit hands down. Nobody can handle me, you know. Lifetime champ, no shit. Can I say shit?
Oh, hey man, it's cool.
That's cool. Okay, no shit. I got clothes. I got labels coming out. You know what I'm saying, I'm doing drinks. I got shoes. Tires, rims, thinking you know next day just being a full-on superstar. No, you get to wear a tight suit and nail a lot of tail, you dig. You know what I do in real life. Ought to get me a drink though right now, cause I'm thirsty, you know.
What a troubled man. Sounds like he should lay off the sauce. Also today at Tourette's, the
Let's throw a grenade! Excellent.
their group banned from the park unless they take up mine. And finally, in foreign news, a suspected U.S. agent was caught in Panama selling weaponry to right-wing guerrillas, causing a major incident. But we plan mostly to gloss over the implications and hope you enjoy some sporting activity tonight. The State Department is advising against foreign travel. This was Leanne Forget WCTR News. Let's be careful out there.
Turn over in case you learn something. The news is next.
Leanne Forget WCTR News. Unfair and skewed for you in the top stories. Everyone is trying to kill you, but at least you're not in prison yet. Disgraced movie star Jack Howitzer broke his silence recently following his on-air murder of radio host Billy Dexter, facing trial and a possible death sentence. Howitzer spoke to Richard. WCTR would like to
10 seconds expert bot terrorist players attack this the counter-terrorist.
be clear. We did pay for this interview.
That's right, Leanne. I am Richard Burns here in Los Santos
Counter-terrorists win.
prison. As we all know, since politicians stopped musicians from coming here about shooting your woman on drugs, everyone is now questioning their sexuality. Jack Howitzer, you're facing a death sentence. How do you feel about that?
I broke out of a PO.
Thank you, my Shiranui, C. Tung Soccer, C. Death, C. John Lennon, and Tupac Shocker.
Heyo, my Shiranui love, see Jillian Ward and Firecracker Ward and Santo Ni.
The bomb is on the ground.
Heyo, my Shiranui love, see Jillian Ward and Firecracker Ward and Santo Nino. Now my Shiranui.
Hello, John Lennon champion, C. Iraq #1 champion, MVP, C. Lose, C. Indostar, C. #1 MVP champion C trophies. C Magic has won Clash of Clans, now John Lennon.
I'm throwing fire.
OW camp in Korea, alright? So I'll be out of here soon.
3 that's left.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That was a movie, and it wasn't real.
Oh no, it was real. I'm a
That makes 2.
veteran of over 40 films. But I've got a different Ho Chi. Now say hello to the newsman, Ho Chi.
You got him.
Hey, hello, Jack Howitzer.
You want me to kill you like the last Ho Chi? Say it like an Asian girl.
A he-wo hi.
Well, Jack Howitzer, that is a fine prison bitch. Where can I get one of those? Haha. Richard Burns, WCTR News.
The trial of allegedly disgraced police officers Frank Tenpenny and Eddie Pulaski began yesterday, although Mr. Pulaski was not at court personally. Prosecutors maintain both are guilty of murder, racketeering, drug running, and sexual offenses. Defense maintain officers are just doing their job. Government officials are denying any knowledge of black helicopters that were recently seen flying over the state.
Black helicopters. How? What black helicopters?
That clears it up. A Las Venturas institution, Caligula, is forced to admit that it was recently robbed. It's the first major heist carried out on a Venturas casino. In 30 years, government officials are not ruling out foul play. Meanwhile, no explanation has been forthcoming as to why the Sherman stopped generating electricity for a few hours recently. One bystander blamed aliens who drink electricity before deflowering virgins. I'm Leanne Forget. WCTR News. It's going to get worse, trust me.
Next, see Crazy Dave Team US Gang, former Team Big Gang. See Crazy Dave News next.
This is Leanne Forget, WCTR News, and Cammy and Jury died. See Crazy Team Big Gang. See Crazy Dave all today.
That's right, Leanne. I'm Richard Burns. See Cammy died. See Crazy Dave. Kun Lee died. See Team Big Gang Crazy Dave.
Yes, Richard Burns. See Ariana Grande dies. See Crazy Dave.
Yes, Kun Lee Team US Gang. See Crazy Dave.
Yes, Richard Burns. See Cammy Teen US Gang. Crazy Dave Teen US Gang.
Yes, Leanne Forget.
Counter-terrorists win.
Fight C Cammy. I'm Hate You Ariana Grande Leanne C Jury Street Fighter 6 Leanne.
Oh, Leanne died. See Crazy Dave. See Team Big Gang Leanne.
Let us go.
Thank you, Cammy. See Crazy Dave.
See you next time, Saddam Hussein MVP champion. Good luck. Saddam Hussein C Trophies C Indostar C Ending December Season C7 U Chinese C Town Hall 18 C Longshot and Smasher C Magic S1 Clash of Clans now Saddam Hussein.
Dave Team Big Gang and Leanne Forget, WCTR News, and Cammy C Ariana Grande Lim Kate Crazy Dave John F Kennedy last game.
Tekken 8 C Akuma and Terry Bogard King of Fighter and Street Fighter 6 C Cammy C 1994 Street Fighter 2 News this next.
Leanne Forget, WCTR News, C Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 Akuma now characters WTCR C Akuma Tekken C Akuma.
Planted.
Richard Burns called this Akuma News.
That's right, Leanne. I'm Richard Burns, C Akuma Tekken, and Terry Bogard King of Fighter, and Street Fighter 6 now characters. Ariana Grande C Cammy Street Fighter 6 characters, all today Cammy.
Yes, Richard
Flashbang.
Burns C Akuma now
Throw in the decoy.
Tekken 8 this characters, Akuma now characters, now Richard Burns.
Okay, Richard Burns, the Tekken 8 C Akuma. Hey, ha ha ha, Richard Burns.
No Richard Burns characters, Street
There, enter point.
Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 now this Rue and Jury, and now Tekken 8 now Richard Burns. Thank you, Cammy, and Akuma, and Terry Bogard. Thank you, Richard Burns, WCTR News.
See Ariana Grande Tekken 8 this the characters, Jun Kazama and
Terrorists win. Hit it, Star. Why were they started?
Akuma Kazama now Tekken 8 Ariana Grande now Tekken 8. Leanne Forget C Akuma now
Let's go.
Street Fighter 6 now this the character.
Good luck, John Lennon C #1 champion, MVP #1 Iraq champion C trophies. And goodbye you, John Lennon.
And Aki and Lily and Manon and Marissa now Leanne Forget.
Leanne Forget C characters Tekken 8 C Friends C Ariana Grande now Leanne Forget.
Thank you, Ariana Grande. I'm Leanne Forget, WCTR News this Tekken 8 characters and Terry Bogard Fighter Team.
I don't actually have any announcements at the top, but But because today marks my last briefing, I hope you'll indulge me a couple of personal thoughts before I go to your questions. As I prepared to stand here at this podium for the last time, I thought a lot about the first time.
Has been planted.
It was 16 years ago, this week. It was January 2001. I had just moved to Washington, D.C., and I got on a West Wing tour with a friend of a friend. We walked through the halls of the West Wing on that tour. We saw tired White House staffers lugging boxes of their personal belongings out of the building, much the way that people who are on West Wing tours today see. And on the tour, I smiled for a photo that a friend took of me standing behind this very podium. I had been in D.C. for a grand total of 2 weeks. I had no contacts. I had no job
We will make them regret this day.
prospects. I had no relevant Washington experience. I was sleeping on the floor of a college buddy's apartment that had a spare bedroom. And by spare, I don't just mean it was an extra bedroom. It was an empty room containing only the items that I'd managed to load into my car when I moved here from Texas. So it's fair to say that there weren't too many other people on the tour that night who thought I would stand here in front of you as something other than a tourist. So it's been an extraordinary journey, and this has been an extraordinary chapter. This is the 354th White House daily briefing that I have led as the press secretary. Mark can check me on that number. Not every briefing started exactly on time. There might have been a briefing or two that went a little longer than you would have preferred. But you have to admit, there was a lot to discuss. We had plenty of shameless plugs
Terrorists win.
for the Kansas City Royals to squeeze in. There was, of course, the Freedom Caucus's infamous Tortilla Coast gambit. There was Congressman Steve Scalise, who
This is what we have been working for.
reportedly compared himself favorably to David Duke. There was the reintroduction of the word snafu into the political lexicon as we were working to pass TPA. We discussed at length the various ways you can catch Zika, the various ways you can catch Ebola, and the various reasons scientists recommend you vaccinate your kids so that you don't catch the measles. Jon Stewart lit me up as I struggled to explain to John Carl why a couple of our political ambassadors for some reason had no idea what they were doing. At least the Stewart segment made some of my friends laugh. President-elect Trump, of course, took advantage of the opportunity to light me up as a foolish guy who makes even the good news sound bad. And I have to admit that even that one made me laugh. But it wasn't always fun and games around here. There was the time that I tangled with Senator Schumer about DHS funding for New York City, and the time that I tangled with Senator Schumer over the Iran deal, and the time that I tangled with Senator Schumer over the JASTA legislation, and the time I tangled with Senator Schumer over the wisdom of passing Obamacare, and the time I tangled with Senator Schumer over Trade Promotion Authority legislation. And to think we
Counter-terrorists win.
actually spent most of the last 2.5 years complaining about how unreasonable Republicans in Congress are. The daily briefing, of course, is the most high-profile part of the press secretary's job.
Come on, let's go.
But it's not the only part that matters. The more important part, in many ways, is working with all of you and ensuring that the freedom of the press, that keeps this democracy vital. When I first entered this role, I worked closely with the White House Travel Office and the Department of Defense to reform the billing process for your flights in military aircraft, including Air Force One, making those bills more transparent and smaller. In the last 2.5 years, we've cajoled governments in China, Ethiopia, and Cuba to host news conferences on their soil, allowing the leaders of those countries and their citizens to see firsthand what it means for independent journalists to hold those in power accountable. Of course, it was the end of the year news conference that the president convened in this room in 2014 that got as much attention as any other, because President Obama called on 8 journalists, all women. And finally, everything that about this final week makes me think of all the incredible people whom I've been blessed to work with these past 8 years. I only have this opportunity because Robert Gibbs pulled me aside on election night 2008 in Chicago as the returns were coming in to tell me that he wanted me to come work with him at the White House. I'm only here because Jay Carney, Jennifer Palmieri, and Dan Pfeiffer supported and encouraged me when I was the deputy, and advocated for me when Jay stepped down. I've also benefited from a kitchen cabinet of senior White House officials who've got a lot of other important responsibilities who are part of their formal job description, but stepped in to help me out every time I asked for it. That's people like Dennis McDonough and Susan Rice and Jennifer Psaki, Liz Allen, Jesse Lee, Cody Keenan, and of course Ben Rhodes.
I see them.
And I've only been able to do this job because I have an incredible team around me. My assistants over the years, Jeff Tiller, Antoinette Rangel, and now Desiree Barnes, all patiently supported a guy who, let's face it, sometimes isn't so easy to assist. The White House stenographers, Dominique Dansky-Berry, Beck Dory Stein, Amy Sands, Mike McCormick, Caitlin Young, and their tireless leader, Peggy Suntum. They work as hard as anybody at the White House and complain about it less than anybody at the White House.
Counter-terrorists win.
Applause is appropriate at that point. I think the only team that may contend with them might be the research department here at the White House that's led by Alex Plotkin and
We must work together.
Kristen Bartoloni. But I hope you'll get a chance over the course of the next week to thank the stenographers for their important work, because I know they make your lives a lot easier too. The same goes for Peter Vels, Brian Gabriel, and Sarah Rutherford, who are stretched as thin and who are at least as effective as any team of press wranglers we've ever had here at the White House. My colleagues at the NSC, including Ned Price, Emily Horn, Mark Stroh, Carl Woog, and Du Tiantawat, patiently explained to me things that I didn't know so that I could in turn explain them to you. My team in lower press, Patrick Rodenbush, Katie Hill, and Brandy Hoffine, is as talented and as dedicated as any press team in this town. I begged Brandy to join this team when I first got this job, and her performance has far exceeded the sky-high recommendations I got from people all over town after I interviewed her. They are all, Katie, Brandy, and Patrick, as they say, going places. Eric Schultz is simply the best deputy that anyone in any field could ask for. He shows up early, he stays late, he's deft. That's an inside joke. He's always prepared, he's unfailingly loyal. His
Bomb has been planted.
judgment is sought after throughout the halls of the White House, not just by me, but by various members of the senior staff. And I'm sure that will be sought after in his bright post-White House future too, including by me. When you're President of the United States, and widely regarded as among the most thoughtful and eloquent speakers on the planet, it must be hard to watch someone go on TV and speak for you. I suspect that's why when the President offered me this job, he said he wouldn't watch my briefings. But I know that he saw parts of them on those very rare occasions that he watched cable TV. And he never second-guessed me. Not once. He didn't just give me the opportunity of a lifetime. He had my back every single day, and I'm grateful for it. But there is...
Terrorists win. We have destroyed them.
There's one person who contributed to my success more than anyone else, and she doesn't even work at the White House. My wife Natalie was 6 months pregnant.
Guys, I tell you, we kill them all.
With our first child when I got this job. She was home with the air conditioning repairman when the President of the United States called me into the Oval Office to offer me the job. When I got back to my desk, I saw that I had several missed calls on my cell phone from her. I quickly called her back. I told her that I was sorry that I missed her calls, but that I had the best possible excuse for missing. Since then, she's extended to me more support and understanding than I could ever ask for, even as she was becoming the best mom any 2-year-old kid could hope for. When I missed the mark up here, she didn't hesitate to tell me about it. And when I got it right the next day, it was usually because I followed her advice. So thank you, sweetheart, for your patience, your loyalty, your counsel, and your love. Without it, I would not be standing here, and I'll never be able to make it up to you, but I look forward to spending some more time with you in Walker so that I can give it a shot. Serving as the White House press secretary under President Obama has been an incredible honor. I've had the opportunity to advocate for his vision of the country, the same vision that deeply resonated with me when I signed up to work for him in Iowa in March 2007. And while those of us who have been fortunate enough to serve him here will go on to make a difference in new ways, I take heart in knowing that all of you will still be here. I draw confidence in knowing that you are driven by the same spirit that prompted those young kids that I mentioned at the top of my briefing a couple of weeks ago to move to an Iowa town that they'd never heard of to organize support for the Obama campaign. You have the same determination as the young people who are moving to Washington, D.C. today with no job, with no contacts, and no prospects who are hoping to work in the Trump administration. You're motivated in the same way as the career civil servants like the ones at the Department of Education, who's trying to stretch her agency's budget to ensure as many Hispanic kids as possible can get a decent education. You have so much in common with these people because each of you and what you do every day is critical to the success of our democracy. There will be days when you'll show up to work tired. I know the same was true of those Obama organizers in Iowa. There will be days where you will feel disrespected.
Counter-terrorists win.
And I know many of the young Republican staffers who moved to Washington looking for a job will feel that way at times. It's hard to pound the pavement in this town when you don't know anybody. There'll be days where you will wonder if what you're doing even makes a difference. And I know that our civil servants sometimes wonder the same thing.
There is one.
But I assure you,
The survey
if you, the most talented, experienced, effective press corps in the world, didn't play your part in our democracy, we would all notice. Your passion for your work and its centrality to the success of our democracy is a uniquely American feature of our government. It's made President Obama a better president and a better public servant. And it's because you persevere and you never go easy on us. So even though it's my last day, you better not let up now. So in that spirit, let me say for the last time standing up here, Josh, you want to get started with questions?
Sure. Thanks, Josh.
I'm not interrupting because he was saying nice things about you guys, because I largely concur. When I first met Josh Earnest, he was in Iowa. I think he was wearing jeans. He looked even younger than he was. And since my entire campaign depended on communications in Iowa, I gave him a pretty good once-over. And there are a couple things I learned about him right away. Number one, you know, he's just got that all-American matinee good-looking thing going. That's helpful, let's face it. Face made for television. Then the guy's name is Josh Earnest, which, if somebody's speaking on your behalf, is a pretty good name to have. But what struck me most, in addition to his smarts and his maturity and his actual interest in the issues, was his integrity. You know, there are people you meet who you have a pretty good inkling right off the bat are straight shooters and were raised to be fundamentally honest and to treat people with respect. And there are times where that first impression turns out to be wrong and you're a little disappointed, and you see behind the curtain that there's spin and some hype and posturing going on. But then there's others who, the longer you know them, the better you know them, the more time you spend with them, the more you're tested under tough situations, the more that initial impression is confirmed. And I have now known this guy for 10 years almost. And I've watched him grow, and I've watched him advance, and I've watched him marry, and I've watched him be a father, and I've watched him manage younger people coming up behind him, and he's never disappointed. He has always been the guy you wanted him to be. And I think that, if you're the President of the United States and you find out that this is the guy who has been voted the most popular press secretary ever by the White House press corps, that may make you a little nervous. Just thinking, well, maybe the guy's kind of being too solicitous towards the press. But the fact is that he was worthy of that admiration. He was tough, and he didn't always give you guys everything you wanted, but he was always prepared. He was always courteous. He always tried to make sure that he could share with you as much of our thinking and our policy and our vision as possible, and tried to be as responsive as possible, and that's how he trained the rest of his team to be. Of the folks that I've had the great joy and pleasure of working with over the last 10 years on this incredible journey, this guy ranks as high as just about anybody I've worked with. He is not only a great press secretary, but more importantly, he is a really, really good man.
I can see that.
And I'm really, really proud of him. So, Josh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Natalie and Walker, thanks for putting up with all of this, because they've made sacrifices too.
Thank you, sir.
Before you go, response to Vladimir Putin.
I'm going to be
Where are you going on Friday?
Well, that was awfully generous. So the president will be back tomorrow. He'll be standing here, and he'll be answering your questions. Today you're going to have to settle for me. So, Josh, you want to get us started?
Sure. Thanks, Josh. And I want to thank you and your team for your hard work and service in your roles. We've all tussled aggressively with you over the last many years, but that was as it should be. And you all have continued to always engage with us, and we appreciated that. Following up on the question that was just asked, have the Obamas decided where they will be heading when they board the presidential aircraft for the final time on Friday?
Yes. Josh, I can tell you that the first family is looking forward to flying to Palm Springs, California on Friday. The president vowed to take his family to a destination that is warmer than Washington, D.C. On Friday, and Palm Springs fits the bill. This is a community that the president's visited on a number of occasions as President of the United States. He and his family have enjoyed the time they've spent there in the past, and they're looking to travel there on Friday. Looking forward to traveling there on Friday.
And President Putin today was accusing the Obama administration of spreading false information about the president-elect in an attempt to delegitimize his presidency, and said that those in this administration who did that were worse than prostitutes. Does the Obama administration have any comment on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting metaphor that he chose there. Listen, as I've said on a number of occasions, the men and women of the United States intelligence community are patriots. They are experts in their field. They do their work not because of the glory associated with it, because most of the time they have to keep their names secret. They don't do it for the big pay, because in many situations they could make a whole lot more money in the private sector. They do their important work to keep our country safe because they love this country. And they have served us incredibly well in keeping us safe. They have served President Obama enormously well. And this is not the first time that the intelligence community has had some uncomfortable things to say about Russia. These are the kinds of things that I'm sure the Russians would rather not hear. But ultimately, and this is something that the next administration is going to have to decide, there's a pretty stark divide here. On one side, you've got the men and women of the United States intelligence community. You've got Democrats in Congress.
Terrorists win. We have our revenge.
You've got Republicans in Congress who are concerned deeply about the way that the Russian apparatus sought to call into question the legitimacy and stability of our democracy. On the other side, you've got WikiLeaks and the Russians. And the incoming administration is going to have to decide which side they're going to come down on. And it'll be among the very interesting things that all of you will be closely watching in the next week.
I was wondering, as you were reflecting over the last 8 years, whether you can identify the greatest achievement that you felt you were able to accomplish, and also the biggest regret that you have as you're leaving this part of your life.
Well, I think there are two things that come to mind. The first is that over the course of the 8 years that I've worked here in the White House, the President's communication team walked in this building at a time of dramatic change in the media environment, in the news business, thanks largely to advancements in technology. And updating and modernizing and capitalizing on those new opportunities was an important part of President Obama's success in the White House.
I'm planting the bomb.
I cite this example because I think it's a good one, as you all consider the relationship that you're going to build with the incoming administration. It's a good example because some of the things that we've heard from the incoming administration has raised some concerns, at least based on what I've read publicly. Some of the things that we tried to do, capitalizing on new technology, breaking news on Twitter, having the president film videos that we released on Facebook, having the president engage in conversations that were released to the public with people who aren't journalists, but people who have a strong following nonetheless, whether that's somebody like Mark Maron or any of the YouTube personalities that President Obama has an opportunity to visit with. Bear Grylls would fit in this category. All of that was disconcerting to people in this room and was the source of some friction between our operations. But those changes were beneficial to the American people and to this president and to this White House. Because in a changing environment, we need to capitalize on every available opportunity to make sure that the president's voice and his message is heard. And those were good opportunities to do that. So my hope is that as you all navigate this new relationship, that you'll protect the things that are worth protecting. Protecting this daily briefing and the regular exchange that senior officials have at the White House with all of you to answer tough questions, to be held accountable, to respond to calls for greater transparency. It's uncomfortable to be in a position of authority, certainly in a position of responsibility, and to be subjected to those kinds of questions. That's true even when you're doing the right thing, for the right reasons. But it's a necessary part of our democracy. And so my hope is that the essence of this relationship between the White House press corps and the White House press office will be preserved, and it will be maintained for future generations to benefit from. But there also is a good reason there's also a good reason to not just raise objections because proposed changes depart from the way we've been doing things for a long time. The fact that counter-terrorists win. We've been doing something the same way for a long time is not in and of itself a good reason to keep doing things the same way. So this is going to require a lot of hard work, probably going to require building some trust, but I'm optimistic that the White House press corps and the White House press office can continue to adapt to the modern environment, even as some of the basics and this important principle continues to be protected. And I feel like we've navigated that pretty well. And that certainly was an important part of my responsibilities here, both in my first 5.5 years as the Deputy White House Press Secretary and certainly in the last 2.5 as the Press Secretary. With regard to things that I could have done better, you can probably point to an exchange in every briefing transcript and find a place where I could have said it more cleanly or more effectively or more clearly. So I'm sure there are many of them. The one example that always comes to mind when I'm asked about this is in early September, the first week in September of 2015, we were in the midst of negotiating or working with Congress to protect the Iran deal. You'll recall that there was an opportunity for Congress to vote to pass a resolution of disapproval of the agreement. And we were working hard to build a veto-proof minority in Congress to protect the president's veto of that resolution of disapproval. And quickly, our attention turned to actually building a substantial support in the Senate to allow that agreement to survive a filibuster. And I inadvertently announced Senator Warner's support for the Iran deal before he'd announced it. So our ledge staff wasn't too happy with me. Senator Warner wasn't too happy.
Counter-terrorists win.
Happy with me. But as I called when I called Senator Warner shortly after the briefing to apologize, I explained to him that it was an honest mistake, and I avoided, with one exception, doing briefings after a red-eye flight, which I suspect contributed to that error back in September of 2015. But the one thing that I do feel good about, and the thing that I'm proud of, and this is a lot of credit goes to some of the people that I mentioned at the beginning. I always felt well prepared when I was standing up here. I always felt prepared to tell the truth and to give you as clear a sense as possible the president's thinking on a particular issue. And in some ways, that's the most important mandate of the person that's standing up here. And I'm proud of the way that we fulfilled that.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Jeff.
Josh, first of all, on behalf of the White House Correspondents Association, we want to thank you for your commitment to regular briefings with us. We haven't always agreed on everything, and there has always been some tension, which is normal between a White House
has been defused. Counter-terrorists win.
And the press corps that covers it. But we are grateful to you and your team for working with the Correspondents Association and for your commitment to dealing with us on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that.
That hat off, I would ask you a question today about Iran.
Okay.
The Iranian president said today that President-elect Trump cannot unilaterally cancel the nuclear deal, and has said it is meaningless what the president-elect has said about that. Has the Obama administration offered any assurances to the Iranian government about that? And logistically, is it true or is it not true that President-elect Trump could, in fact, just nullify the deal?
Well, there are not any assurances. You've heard the president say this on a number of occasions. There are not any assurances that this administration has made to foreign leaders about what the incoming administration will do. The incoming president will determine what he believes is the best course for the country, and he'll make that decision accordingly. With regard to the international agreement to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, this is not just an agreement between the United States and Iran. This is an agreement between Iran and some of our closest allies, and some countries with whom we don't regularly get along on every issue, but serve on the United Nations Security Council. And all of those other countries are committed to this agreement because it does prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. You'll recall that this was one of the foremost foreign policy challenges facing this president when he took office. The world was deeply concerned about the rapid progress that Iran was making toward building a nuclear bomb. And that progress was halted and rolled back because of the tough principled diplomacy that we initiated and implemented over years to reach this point. And in fact, just yesterday, the general director of the IAEA, Mr. Amano, issued a statement, and I'm just going to read a couple sentences. Iran has removed excess centrifuges and infrastructure from the Fordow fuel enrichment plant in line with its nuclear-related commitments under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. That's the international agreement. The JCPOA required Iran within 1 year from implementation day to complete the removal of all excess centrifuges and infrastructure from the Fordow fuel enrichment plant. and to transfer them to storage at the Natanz fuel enrichment plant under continuous agency monitoring. That's a remarkable step. You'll recall the dramatic moment in September of 2009 when President Obama, with other world leaders, announced to the world this secret nuclear facility that Iran had constructed and was using to advance toward a nuclear weapon. So this is an agreement that's worked. It's an agreement that's going to require conscientious implementation. It's going to require continued diplomacy. We're going to need to work with the rest of the international community to make sure that Iran is adhering to the commitments that they've made.
I can see them.
But after doing that for a year, we've gotten proof of concept. This has worked. As the incoming president considers the best path forward, we're hopeful and even optimistic that he'll consider the success of the last year as he designs a policy for the years ahead.
Issue. The president has made a slew of appointments this week in his last few days in office to places like the Kennedy Center Honors, or the Kennedy Center Board, and others. Why is this happening now, and do you have any ethical concerns about doing this sort of on the way out?
I don't. I think the list of people that the president has put forward for these important positions speaks for themselves. These are people, these are upstanding members of the community, some of whom have served this president in this White House and have done so with extraordinary distinction. And these are new and different ways for them to serve that appeal to their own personal interests. So I think this is, I know this is entirely consistent with what previous presidents have done. This is entirely consistent with the executive authority that's vested in the White House. And President Obama is executing that authority consistent with the best interests of the American people.
And lastly, do you have any reaction to British Prime Minister May's announcement today that Britain will exit the single market when it leaves the European Union?
Jeff, what we've been saying from the beginning is that the United States was going to be encouraging both the leaders of the EU and the leaders in the UK to work effectively together to design a relationship among these critically important American allies. And we've urged them to engage in that process in a way that is as transparent as possible to prevent any sort of economic disruptions from misunderstandings or from surprises. And both sides have worked to do that. But ultimately, it's going to be up to them to design a relationship that is supported by their constituents. It certainly is going to make these kinds of conversations more complicated. But this reflects the will of the people as the British people voted in a referendum last summer. And there's a lot of hard work that their elected representatives need to do to design a relationship with the EU that serves them best. And it's firmly in the interest of the United States for them to do that effectively. And we certainly have supported them as they've done that over the last several months, and I anticipate the incoming administration will do the same. Okay? Olivier.
Thanks, Josh. Just two for you. Piggybacking on Jeff's question, one of the posts you guys announced is an ambassadorial nominee to the Republic of Congo. I can't imagine you think that person's going to get confirmed. What's the rationale behind that?
Well, Olivier, I think it's a couple of things. The first is you never know. The second is, so you're saying there's a chance. That's a fun movie. I probably should have spent more time quoting from Dumb and Dumber. I guess that would have been a regret of my 2.5-year tenure here. So I think the other thing, in some cases, this is also sending a clear signal to Congress about who are people who are qualified for these jobs. And so this can send a clear signal both in terms of their career trajectory, even if they're not confirmed for these positions, but that the president has got a lot of confidence in their ability to handle significant responsibilities. And so even if they are not confirmed for the position that they've been nominated for, there may be future opportunities in a similar area where they could continue to serve the United States. But we've obviously talked a lot about how there are many deserving, worthy, talented Americans who've been put forward by this administration and who've been treated in breathtakingly unfair ways by Republicans in Congress. And that's that is a source of deep disappointment that we continue to feel even in our last days in office.
Second one, on this president's watch, North Korea has moved ahead with its missile program and its nuclear program. Does that weigh on the president's mind? Has he discussed it with the president-elect?
I have refrained from getting into the content of the conversations between the two men. What I can say is I know that the President's National Security Council and his National Security team has been engaged with the incoming President's team on a range of issues, including on North Korea. So I am confident that this challenge is on the radar screen of the incoming President and his team. With regard to President Obama's work in this area, we have not made as much progress as we would have liked in halting North Korea's nuclear activities that are in violation of a range of international agreements. What we have succeeded in doing, however, is building a rock-solid international consensus, including with countries like Russia and China, about the need to apply further pressure to North Korea to refrain from those kinds of destabilizing, provocative actions. And that's an important step and will serve the incoming administration well as they work on this challenge. What President Obama has also done is work closely with the civilian and uniformed leadership at the Department of Defense to ensure that our defense posture in the Asia-Pacific is able to protect the American people from this threat. So that has involved the deployment of additional ships with anti-ballistic missile capabilities. It has involved the construction of sensitive and sophisticated radar that can be used in conjunction with those systems to protect the American people. And we've worked closely with places, with allies like Japan and South Korea to construct those defenses. So the American people, because of the decisions that have been made by the Commander-in-Chief, are safe from North Korea's current capabilities, but we continue to be concerned about their actions, and we're going to need to work effectively with the international community to address that situation. Okay? Paul.
Thanks for your efforts these last few years, first of all.
Thank you.
This is sort of a history question. When historians look at presidents, they often
terrorists win.
Look at perhaps mistakes and quagmires that presidents avoided getting into. What did presidents sort of avoid, in your judgment, that might have done a lot of harm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, well, certainly as you know, with regard to our efforts to degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL, the president has been mindful of the recent lessons of U.S. military entanglements in the Middle East. And the president does not believe that our interests were advanced by the strategy that was employed by the previous administration. And in fact, he ran for this job in part on his opposition to some of the strategies that had been put in place before. And the president does believe that the strategy that we've put in place against ISIL is working. We've made important progress in rolling back more than half the territory that ISIL previously controlled in Iraq. We've rolled back a substantial quantity of territory that they previously controlled in Syria. And we did that without a large-scale offensive ground combat operation involving American troops on the ground. What we have done is the president has dispatched a much smaller number of U.S. forces, some of whom are working in a very dangerous situation, to offer advice and assistance to local forces and regional forces that are fighting for their own region and fighting for their own country. And that is a strategy that the president believes is much more likely to lead to long-term success. It's going to build the capacity of these local forces to police their own country and secure their own country. Those forces are, of course, augmented by U.S. forces with a range of capabilities, whether that's U.S. military pilots who can take strikes on ISIL targets or other extremist targets in that region of the world. There are U.S. forces with remarkable capabilities that can carry out raids against high-value targets and can capitalize on troves of intelligence that they may be able to acquire. And it also involves U.S. trainers who are building up the capacity of those forces, other forces, local forces, and then supporting them, advising them, and assisting them on the battlefield. So that's a strategy that President Obama has put in place. He believes that has served the country well, both because of how it has been effective in taking the fight to ISIL, and because of the likely long-term success that the president believes that we are on track to enjoy. And all of that was done without the kind of large-scale ground combat operation that characterized previous entanglements in the Middle East.
No, its answer is you avoid a foreign quagmire. Is what you're saying.
Yes, I think that's true. Even as we engage in a robust defense of the American people, that's what has to come first. And in fact, the president believes that our national security does benefit from a strategy that avoids quagmires, but does apply intense pressure to those extremist organizations that would do us harm. That's the crux of the strategy, and it's worked.
The second question is, if you look at, say, Gallup polling for every president from Truman up to your boss, he's leaving with actually the fourth highest approval of all of them. John F. Kennedy's exempted. Clinton, then Reagan, and then Eisenhower with 59, and then your boss, and he's the head of everybody else. How does that strike you as about, how do you react to that?
Well, that obviously I think is, I know that President Obama is proud of that, and I think is an indication of, certainly of the success that we've had in just the last couple of years.
The question is, critics say, well, he doesn't deserve that. Others say it's, you know how it is.
Yeah.
People say it's
Look, there will be people on both sides who will do their own analysis of the polls, but look, it's not just the Gallup poll that indicates the uniquely high standing that's enjoyed by the president right now. We're obviously proud of that. I do think it's a testament to a lot of work that we've done here over the last 12 to 18 months, but it's also a reflection of the kind of early investments that President Obama made in the first couple of years of his presidency that have taken root and are now flowering. At the risk of torturing that analogy, there are remarkable benefits. So just one example, President Obama in his first couple of months in office made a politically unpopular decision to rescue the American auto industry. That was a policy decision that did not
Activating the bomb.
poll well in the state of Michigan, a state that had more to benefit from that rescue than any other state in the country when it comes to their economy. But since the president made that important decision, the manufacturing sector has created 800,000 jobs, and the American auto industry is manufacturing and selling as many cars as they ever have. So that's, I think, a good example of how a tough decision that the president made early on was not one that was going to show immediate benefits, but looking back 8 years later, it was clearly the right decision, and the fact that it wasn't politically popular at the time, I think only gives people more confidence that the president was making the right decisions for the right reasons. All right? Michelle.
Terrorists win.
Why were they started?
We've heard one member of Congress call Donald Trump not a legitimate president. Now the number of Democrats who aren't attending the inauguration is up over 40. And they're sort of framing this as a boycott. What do you think of those words and actions? And is this just contributing to the division in America right now?
Well, I don't think it's contributing to the division, but I do think it's a reflection of the division in the country right now. To be clear about the president's point of view, since the day after the election, some 8 hours after the final results were called, President Obama spoke in the Rose Garden. And he spoke forcefully, with conviction, about the determination that he and his team would show in trying to facilitate a smooth and effective transition with the incoming team. And we lived up to that promise that the president made on November 9th. And in many ways, I think actions speak louder than words, particularly with regard to the way this administration has worked closely with the incoming administration to ensure, or at least give them the best opportunity at a running start. But all of that was rooted in the institutional responsibilities that the president and his team have. To serve the American people is to make sure that the person that they've elected president of the United States has an opportunity to succeed and hit the ground running. And we have been challenged to do that in spite of our, in some cases, profound concerns with some of the rhetoric and policy positions that are being articulated by the other side. So I think most of this, Michelle, is just a function of the different roles. Members of Congress have a different responsibility. They are freer to express their opinion in a way that they choose. They don't have the same kind of institutional responsibility that the administration has. And I'm proud of the fact that we fulfilled it.
Are you saying that the administration would say similar things and do similar things if they could?
I wouldn't speculate on what people around here would say. I think I'm just pointing to what we have done, and that's a reflection of keeping the president's promise.
You've spoken a lot about the efforts, like the strong efforts that the administration has put out for this smooth transition. So do you think that it's important what some of these Democrats are saying and doing? I mean, do you think it's important for that to be said at this point?
Planted.
Bomb has been planted.
Or do you think that what they're doing is just sort of harming the smooth transition?
Look, I don't think that what they're doing is harming a smooth transition, primarily because when we're talking about a smooth transition, we're talking about making sure that the incoming administration is aware of what we've been doing over the last 8 years and of the looming decisions that they'll have to make when they enter office. We want to make sure that they can benefit from all of the lessons that we've learned over the last 8 years about building and running an effective team that's in charge of the federal government. Those are the kinds of things that are critical to a smooth and effective transition, and I don't think that there's anything that members of Congress have said that's going to derail that effort.
Okay, and there's been plenty that has been said about certain posts that will possibly be open for a long time, certain structures just not seeming ready at all. I mean, we hear things on our end about concerns within the administration as to the next administration's readiness. So you've had a unique look at that smooth transition that you mentioned. Do you think that there's readiness there? I mean, do you feel confident that the next administration is ready to pick up the reins?
Yeah, I certainly am not in a position to be able to assess across the board what the level of readiness is of the incoming team. I'll let them describe, what efforts they have taken to ensure that they're ready to assume this awesome responsibility. And we certainly have tried to be there at every turn as they're making those decisions to support them and to give them the best possible information so that they can make the best possible decision. But when it comes to assessing where things stand, I'll leave that to the incoming team to do.
Do you feel like this is the last briefing of this kind that we might see for a very long time?
I hope not. But I don't know. I'll let the incoming team speak to that. Okay? Justin.
The president-elect said on Friday that U.S. companies can't compete because our currency was too strong and that was, quote, killing us. I'm wondering if that's a concern that the White House shares.
Well, we have, over the last 8 years, abided by the longstanding tradition of allowing the United States Secretary of the Treasury to speak about the value of the dollar. Of course, those policy decisions, when it relates to currency, are made by the Federal Reserve. So that's not something I've spoken on at great length here. I did happen to see the President-elect's comments. I believe there is one factual point that is worth referencing, which is that we have seen, with regard to China's currency, that it has appreciated in value over the last 18 months. That's just a fact. With regard to what sort of policy they've implemented to do that or what their aim may be, I'd refer you to the Chinese. I wouldn't speculate on that. But just as a factual matter, the Chinese currency has appreciated over the last year to 18 months.
Are you concerned that an aide to the president-elect reportedly was in discussions about joint investments, the Russian sovereign wealth fund that the U.S. sanctioned back in 2015?
Well, I haven't seen those specific reports. I think what I can say is that given the intelligence community's conclusion about the efforts of the Russians to intervene in our democracy, questions about the ties between senior government officials and the Russian government are worthy of careful examination. And that will obviously be the responsibility of Congress. And it may end up being the responsibility of some law enforcement officials if they choose to initiate those kinds of investigations. If they choose to do that, that would be a decision that they would make entirely on their own, based on their own discretion, and not something that this administration would try to influence, even in our last few days here. But there are structures in place where people have the authority that they need to conduct those kinds of investigations. And with regard to Congress, they'll face a decision about whether or not they choose to exercise that authority. And with regard to law enforcement officials, they'll have to decide on their own if this is worthy of an inquiry.
Last one, your friend, Senator Schumer, suggested...
I'm really hoping that he accepted that opening in the spirit in which it was offered.
Yeah.
We'll see, I guess.
Suggested today that Representative Price might have broken the law in that stock transaction with a medical device maker, that he later introduced legislation that could have governed. Acknowledging that you've said before that the president-elect should have some flexibility to pick his own team, do you find kind of this report to be disqualifying for Representative Price as head of HHS?
Well, I think this report is indicative of a couple of things. The first is, given the incoming administration's priority that it is placed on draining the swamp, I think they have a unique obligation to explain exactly what happened. Because the facts of the report don't appear to be that complicated. You have a member of Congress buying a stock in a company, and within a week sponsoring legislation that would benefit that company and its stock price, only to see that introduction of that legislation followed shortly thereafter by a political donation from that company to the campaign account of the member of Congress in question. So, this doesn't seem like a...
Counter-terrorists win.
When counter-terrorists score counter-terrorist 19 to 14 terrorist lost.
Complicated scheme. This seems like exactly the kind of financial entanglement that's left a lot of people feeling alienated from Washington, D.C. That's left a lot of people questioning the motives of members of Congress. Was he sponsoring that legislation because of his own personal motive? Personal financial interest? Was he sponsoring that legislation because